right, hello wine drinking people. Time for more of what I've had to drink yesterday. And this tasting, well, we don't have any wines to sell. We just did this one because we could. And we wanted to taste the wines. I love Burgundy. And sometimes on Friday night, you'll see these once-in-a-lifetime tastings. Just a great way for us to end the week here and experience some outstanding vintage wines, which, like I said, Burgundies, vintage Burgundy's hard to come by. We didn't have any of these wines for sale, so we were doing this just for strict research purposes only, and to have a good time. And, you know, want to see how these vintages are drinking. That's something that's very important knowledge to have to me as a wine merchant. The only way to have that knowledge is to open up the bottles and experience them. And I found Burgundies, I like to decanter them, just like I do Bordeaux's. I think they need to open up. And old wines like this always have a little sediment, and I like to get the sediment off the wine and clean it up when we're pouring for 16 people so everyone gets a clean glass of wine. I can tell you, I kept these wines till this morning, and the morning after, let me tell you, all of them were fabulous the next day. So don't be afraid of opening Burgundy and the bouquet blowing off and this and that. I mean, I don't believe that one bit. I drank enough Burgundy and kept them open for a day, and a lot of times they're even better on the second day. So we started out with the well, let me just tell you, the theme of the tasting was Richebourg versus Echezeaux. We had a few other wines thrown in there, Clos de la Roche from Moët Saint-Denis, and then a Von Romanet Souchot, kind of our starting wine from Jacques Conferon, which this is not Jean-Jacques Conferon, this is the other Conferon, and they have been vignerons since the 17th century, and let me tell you, this wine, Prieur Cru, but really unique. The nose on this, it wasn't any underlings in the crowd. Everything was Grand Cru, but this wine, maybe a little less, but in a great vintage like 90, there's not as much difference between the Prieur Cru and the Grand Cru stuff. This wine had a really unique kind of cocoa and brown spice to the nose, light red berry fruit, earthy notes, really nice complexity here, smooth and silky on the tongue with an array of spice, earth, and really nice fresh finish, echoing that cocoa and earthy note from the nose through the finish. You got one vote for first place. A little Prieur Cru, like I said, in a great vintage, which 90 is. The Prieur Cru stuff is pretty grand. All right, and then on to the Richebourg flight, Domaine A. And this is one of the top properties in Burgundy. And, you know, they've... and Richebourg is a small one-horse town. Only 21,666 cases produced per year by all the producers annually. 2,166 cases. Some producers make a barrel of this wine. 25 cases. I believe Jean Grevaux makes a little bit more than that, maybe 4 barrels, but still not a lot of wine for the world. And this wine just brilliant. 1988, still showing a little bit of austerity to it. You know, these wines very tannic when they were released, and going to be very long-lived. This wine's got a lot of nice fruit to it as well. Really exotic nose, allspice, truffle, earthy notes, barnyard hints, red cherry fruit. Really nice concentration and complexity of aromas. Silky smooth on the tongue. This wine's still some tannins at the end, though. Wow, firm hand of acidity. And this wine's got a nice amount of fruit left to it, so I think it's going to last in the long run. But it still needs time. Chalky, tanny notes at the end. Got one vote for first place. Most excellent juice. All right, and then a couple of wines from A.F. Gros Richebourg's, and this is a property that was created in 1988, and there's a nice story here behind it if you want to read that. And let me tell you, the 95, considerably lighter than the 96. I've always liked 96 better as a vintage, but with that said, my favorite wine was the 1995 vintage Echezeaux from Dujac. So this A.F. Gros was killer, and the 95 got a vote for first place. The 96 was the wine of the night, with 5 votes for first place. And like I said, a distinct difference between these two vintages. 96, wow, what a difference a vintage makes. Much darker, richer color, dark cherry, raspberry fruit, pretty floral notes, an array of exotic spices. Still rich and fruity on the tongue. This wine's got wonderful structure and depth of flavors, spice, floral nuance, tongue-tingling minerality, very long. This wine's going to last another couple decades in your cellar. Still a firm hand of acidity, very long and layered. Like I said, the wine of the night. Killer juice. Yes, that's right. I gave it my highest score. And, hey, we got a couple killer wines on the table of most excellence. Hey, this is Grand Cru Burgundy we're talking about. Only 2% of all the vineyards in Burgundy are categorized as Grand Cru. So a really incredible once-in-a-lifetime event here. Next up, we had a little Clos de la Roche to break things up between the Echezeaux and the Richebourg, and Jacques Lignier. and this is the town of Maurice Saint Denis. This wine had a good hand of fresh earth still, truffle, and dark cherry fruit, strawberry, hints of minty spice, cola, really complex bouquet of aroma. Like I said, even better on the second day. This 88 also showed some tannins here. Kind of a distinct smoky note coming out on the second day as well, and still quite tannic. Has a lot of fruit though. This wine could last another 10 years easily, and got 1 vote for first place. Domaine Dujac. This wine stood out for me the moment I opened it up. Just an incredible bouquet of exotic spices, a cornucopia of light red berry fruit, raspberry rhubarb pie, and a potpourri of flowers. Just, you know, it was one of the lighter wines on the table in terms of color, but you cannot judge a wine by its color, especially if it's Pinot Noir, because some of the lightest wines have the most nuance. This wine just had a silky, velvety, smooth texture, plenty of juicy, plump red berry fruit, that spice, those floral aromas, the earth coming out, big and layered. Not the biggest wine on the table, but certainly, to me, the most complex, and it was the wine of the night. For me, only got 2.5 votes for first place. I know some people couldn't decide which wine was their best. They picked 2, so I gave them half votes. The 1996 Echezeaux from Domaine de Pedrix and Domaine Laurent. Both of these wines, very different, but both most excellent juice. And the Pedrix, really big, and this 96 vintage is still quite large. If you have these 96s in your cellar, you do not have to drink them anytime soon. This wine had a lot of really stout nose of black raspberry, black cherry fruit, fresh black truffles, earthy notes, smoky highlights. Really complex, even better on the second day. And like I said, these 96 is very youthful. This wine needs another decade in your cellar. This wine got 0.5 votes. Half a vote for first place, but was outstanding. And the Dominic Laurent wine, very unique. They say this producer is known for using 200% new oak. How do you do that? You take a new oak barrel, you age it in the first year in it, and then you take a brand new second oak barrel and you age it the second year, or whatever period of time in that. And very pronounced, toasty, smoky, oaky notes to the nose. And still a lot of fruit, though. This wine had incredible richness and concentration. Don't hate me because I'm oaky, and I like a little oak in my wine, even though this wine had a lot. It seemed a bit of out of sorts for Burgundy. Really big and chewy on the palate. Lots of exotic spice, a long mineral lace finish, savory spice, really well built. For so much oak, this is an impressive wine. It got 3 votes for first place. One of the most popular wines on the table. The crowd really liked it, and hey, I thought it was most excellent as well. That's what we had to drink at our vintage Burgundy battle between Echezeaux and Richebourg. I'm your host, Andrew Lampasoni, signing off for the Wine Watch, saying remember, always drink the good stuff first.